God actually started to speak to us that He was moving us to America, and 3 of our friends who came and ministered actually prophesied over us. So we're in the midst of hosting this powerful, glorious move of God. People coming every single night, many people being healed, encountering Jesus, having face-to-face encounters in Australia. And then God started to speak, and He said to us, I'm moving you to Australia, and I'm calling you to come and put your shoulder to the plow for revival in America. And so when He started to speak like that, it was very quick, it was very sudden. And then He said to us, and it's now or never.
Wow.
So this is towards the mid to end of 2017. And so we very quickly had to get rid of everything that we had. And, Australia is not just like moving from one state to another. Obviously, it's the other side of the planet.
Yes.
So we got rid of everything, and God sent us to America as missionaries. He sent us here as revivalists to come and contend for revival in America, and to lend our strength with so many amazing, faithful men and women of God right across this nation. And so we've been here now 5.5 years, and we've traveled right across this country. We've been in 41 states, and we've from literally coast to coast, all through the middle.
Wow.
And we've just seen God do amazing things in America. As we've preached the gospel and open fields and tents and beaches and inner cities, and at hundreds of churches, and just seeing God move in such amazing, incredible ways here in America.
So what would you guys say is your focus then? Is it just fulfilling the Great Commission, or is there specific areas that God has really highlighted to you in terms of being missionaries here in the U.S.? What are your guys' focuses?
I think it's real simple, Jeff. We've got a mandate for revival and a mandate for harvest. And obviously, wrapped up in revival, we're talking about Jesus. But we want Jesus made real to the church, first of all, that the church can be fully encountering His presence, His fire, feeling alive, having authentic encounters with God. And at the same time, then letting that spill out of us into the streets and the fields and the supermarkets and the business places and our universities, and just seeing essentially America have another wave of revival break out across this nation. And we really believe, along with many of us right now, that America's on the cusp of another awakening. And in fact, it's already begun. It has begun. It's just that we need more, right? And so that's really that's our heart, that's our passion, that's our mandate, that's what we're seeing, and that's what we're giving our life to. And that's truly what drives us in this season, because man, America is poised for the greatest move of God she's ever seen.
It really is. And has God given you guys any indication specifically about the revival in America? Has He given you any kind of knowledge in terms of global impact of that? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think we have much we could say on that, but some of the main things. Look, America carries a mandate for influence in the nations. There's no doubt about it, and I'm saying that as an Australian voice. And America carries a pioneering, cutting-edge influence, and whatever America does, people stand up and take notice. And America has already had 2 great awakenings. It's time for a 3rd great awakening, because where America goes, the world follows. And it's the moment in time, I believe, right now, and you'll get us stirred talking about this.
I love it.
It's time for America to have another awakening, because when America has an awakening, the nations will follow along. They're going to catch it. Now, it's not that other things aren't going on in other nations, because they absolutely are. But America has a specific mandate over her as a nation to carry the fire of God and release that, not just in this nation, but in other nations. And it's time. And it's time for Americans to hear that, God has called America to do that, and it's why the enemy has really come so hard against the hearts of faithful American believers, to squash hope, to tell them that it's never going to happen again, that there's no hope, and we're not going to see that great move of God. And it's an absolute lie. It's not what God is doing. It's not what God is saying. America will see an awakening across this land.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as an American, you know, and I'm sure you guys, you don't have to be an American to see this, but there's a lot of division in our country right now, even over
Yeah.
things that shouldn't be divisive. It just seems like every step of the way, it just seems like the enemy has really tried to divide
Yeah.
on multiple issues right now. But it's specifically in regards to the Americans. Being that you guys have a unique perspective. Whenever I hear someone who's not American speaking about this topic, I'm always curious, because you can look on, sometimes you have a better understanding of what's happening, because you may be able to have more of a bird's eye view, not being Americans yourself. And I always try to glean from that input, but specifically in regards to the American church, and even just the American believer, whoever they are, wherever they're at, whether they're a stay-at-home mom right now, or I don't know, maybe they're on their lunch break or whatever it is. The Great Commission applies to everybody. It's not a select few who are called to that. I think we can look at that and go, oh, okay, well, that's for people who are called to full-time ministry, which is a sad excuse to not fulfill the Great Commission. But what would you guys say to the American church, the average just American believer who's watching or listening to this, wherever they're at? They don't have to be in full-time ministry. What would you say to them in regards to everything that you guys are seeing? Yeah, just curious.
Well, first of all, you know, it's really important that people know that God is moving in America. You know, as we said at the beginning, we've traveled nonstop the last 5.5 years across, and actually for 10 years prior to that. We've been, even before we moved here, we would spend a month to 6 weeks ministering in America every year. And, you know, God is moving right across this nation, and it's not something that's in the media, obviously, you know, and it's not even something often that's on social media. And you know, one thing I hate to see is when people criticize the church on social media, you know, and they speak like the church is like this, and all the churches like, and often my response is, man, you need to get out more. You need to get out more, because God is moving, and there's many amazing churches in this nation that are on fire and preaching the gospel and contending for revival, and they're hungry, and they might not be famous, but they're famous in heaven. You know, there's people that are having amazing impact on their communities, and that's happening all across, not just in one place. I mean, you go to New England, we find that, and people think New England, surely not, you know, but New England, New York, the same thing in California. There's amazing churches in California, Southern California, that are out on the streets and out on the beaches and sharing the gospel, and that's truly happening right across this nation, you know, and we're really grateful, because, you know, America has, not only in a military sense, obviously the world owes a great debt to America from you know, soldiers that have died and given their lives in battles and things like that, but there's missionary blood. And literal blood. There's missionary blood from this nation that's in the ground, in the nations, and that seed will not go without the harvest to come from that seed. And so I think right now, you know, God is sending actually missionaries to America, and not because there's a void of ministers in America. There's many amazing men and women of God, but God is calling people. God is sending people to this nation.